The Long Road, a journey through human survival. Hey everyone, tonight we're going somewhere uncomfortable. Not just back a few decades or centuries. We're going back 2 million years, to a time before language, before fire, before shoes. You're about to open your eyes in a world that wants you dead. So before we begin, if you're enjoying this, go ahead and like the video and subscribe. And drop a comment. Where are you watching from tonight? Now, dim the lights, get comfortable, and let's step into the deep past together. The beginning. You wake on hard-packed earth. The air is heavy with the scent of wet grass and something sharp you can't identify. Your body feels wrong. Too small, too exposed. You're barely a meter tall, with long arms and a narrow frame. This is you now, Homo habilis. And the first thought that cuts through the confusion is simple. Survive. Everything here is oversized. Trees loom like ancient sentinels, their roots twisting through the dirt like frozen serpents. The grass brushes your knees, thick and stiff with dew. When you move carefully. Every snapped twig could mean danger. You've landed in East Africa, though that name means nothing to you. To your descendants, this will be called the cradle of humanity. To you, it's just a landscape full of hunger, cold, and things with teeth. There's no language yet. You grunt, click, gesture with wide eyes. You don't need words to understand fear or hope, or the deep ache growing in your stomach. You spot a cluster of low trees offering cover and shuffle toward them, mindful of every dry leaf. Your hands are thick but capable, lacking the full dexterity of future humans. Still, they can grasp, they can climb, and maybe, if you're lucky, carry something back. That sharp smell again, closer now. Something has died recently. You hear breathing, deep, heavy, slow. Predators eat first here. You wait your turn or die trying to cut in line. Historians still debate whether Homo habilis hunted or merely scavenged, but one thing is clear: you are not at the top of the food chain. You have no fire, no shelter, no tribe. Just the rising sun behind you and an endless sweep of grass ahead. The hunger. You're starving. That realization hits somewhere between chewing a fibrous root and realizing it tastes like tree bark dipped in dirt. Because that's exactly what it is. Your jaw aches. Your molars, flat and dull, grind away at stringy meat that never quite softens. It's barely food, but hunger doesn't negotiate. You spot something reddish in the grass, a berry, maybe. You shuffle over, eyes darting for snakes. You pluck it, sniff, taste, spit. Too bitter, possibly poisonous. There are no instruction manuals for survival 2 million years ago, just trial, error, and occasional tragic mistakes. Your teeth already hurt. It's not just the tough food, it's your teeth themselves, ground down like sandpaper, failing you long before middle age. You eat grit accidentally with every bite. Tiny rocks grind between your molars. Your gums bleed, but you keep chewing because the alternative is worse. There is no fire yet. You've seen flashes of it when lightning strikes dry grass. Once you watched a tree smolder after a storm. The smoke made you cough, but the warmth drew you closer until the heat became too much. Your food stays raw. No roasted roots, no cooked meat, no warmth at night, and definitely no way to kill the parasites making your stomach twist every other sunrise. You bend to scoop something from the dirt, a grub, fat and pale. You've eaten worse. You pop it between your teeth. It squirms, then crunches. High in protein, they'll say one day. Right now, it's disgusting and exactly what you need. Other figures move in the distance, hunched shapes that walk like you. You watch them crush something under a rock, then gather it carefully. Maybe nuts, maybe snails. You inch closer, but not too close. This life doesn't encourage generosity. If someone has food, they won't share. Get too close, and you might end up with a stone to the head. The sun climbs higher. Heat settles on your shoulders. You can't afford to stop. Food is everything. Every motion, each shuffle, reach, dig, is guided by one thing: keep going. The cold. You're cold. Not the mild discomfort of a chilly morning. This is bone-deep cold that makes your joints feel ancient even if you've only lived 8 or 9 years. You shiver beneath a thin canopy of leaves curled into yourself like a question mark. There's no fire, no furs, just the slow, creeping chill of a world caught between ice and warmth. You're brushing against the edges of the Ice Age now. The Pleistocene climate is unstable, switching between damp green years and frost creeping down from the mountains. And you are very much not built for this. Even near the equator, nights can be brutal when your only shelter is a tree with a good curve in its trunk. Your skin is exposed. You have hair, but it's patchy, not thick enough to insulate. You press your hands into your armpits, trying to trap warmth. It's barely enough. Every night, you curl tighter. You try to breathe slowly so your own breath can warm the air in front of your face. But your body knows the truth. It wants heat. It wants safety.
Sleeping in a tree is safer than the ground, but only just. Branches shift, birds startle, and sometimes something climbs. You rise with the first light, not because you're rested, but because you survive the night. Your limbs ache, your fingers are stiff, your breath fogs in front of you like a ghost. The landscape has changed. Grass is brown and brittle. Shrubs are wilted. Animal tracks point away from the valley. Even the animals know something's wrong. You pass a dry riverbed. A week ago it gurgled with water. Now it's cracked mud pulling away from itself like tired skin. You kneel and find wet sand, sucking on it like it owes you a favor. You keep walking. Trees thin. Wind sharpens. You spot snow, tiny flakes clinging to grass. It's beautiful. You hate it anyway. Snow means no roots, no bugs, no animals lingering long enough to scavenge. You squat near a boulder and scrape moss off with a stone, chewing it anyway. It tastes like disappointment. But hey, fiber. The predators. You hear it before you see it. A low growl, almost a rumble, like thunder trapped beneath the earth. Distant, then closer, then gone. You freeze. That sound doesn't belong to wind. It belongs to something with claws, something that doesn't care how clever your hands are. Your world is teeming with predators, This isn't a nature documentary. This is the actual Pleistocene, where every animal is either dangerous, dead, or trying not to become one. The ground bears their marks. Massive paw prints press into damp dirt. One is fresh. You touch it with trembling fingers. The soil is still warm. That means it was here minutes ago. A saber-toothed cat, Meganterion. It walks like mist and strikes like thunder. You wouldn't even hear it coming. You back away and duck into undergrowth. Every leaf brushes your skin like it's tattling on you. The air smells sharp, metallic, dangerous. You crouch under a thorny shrub and hold your breath. You don't move for a long time because movement can mean death. Eventually, the shadows shift. You uncurl and shuffle along a creek bed, staying low. Every rock could be hiding teeth. Every bush could growl. You've seen it before. One moment your group is foraging. The next, one of you is gone, dragged into the grass by something striped and silent. Usually no scream, just a thud, some rustling, then nothing.
You pass a carcass, just bones now, but the shape of the rib cage, the drag marks, the splintered femur, they tell a story. You bend to examine a bone. A stone tool might scrape marrow from inside. The crack is loud, too loud. You freeze. Silence. Then a rustle in the brush. You abandon the bone and dart into the trees, climbing quickly. Your breath catches as something below steps into the clearing. Golden eyes, striped fur, muscles coiled beneath skin. The saber-toothed cat sniffs the air, lowers its head to the broken bone, and licks at the marrow you didn't get. You stay perfectly still in the tree. Stillness is survival. The cat finishes and disappears like mist. You stay in the tree anyway. The branches groan under your weight, but they're your only refuge. There's more than one predator. Hyenas roam in packs, giant, snarling creatures with jaws that could crush your skull like an eggshell. They don't hunt you usually, but if you're injured, alone, or slow, they will. You remember one night, the noise. Not just one voice, but many, surrounding you, cackling. They didn't attack, but they knew you were there. You stayed in that tree until sunrise, gripping the branch so hard your palms bled. You try to move through this world like a whisper. You climb like shadows. You drink from leaves. You sleep with one eye open because everything out here is hungry, and you are just available. Fire and settlement. You're tired of walking, not just sore feet tired. This is deeper. Your bones ache in a way that feels ancient. You've been following migration paths for days, moving from one thin patch of berries to another, from one stream to another patch of sun-baked nothing. You pause under a shriveled tree. The wind brushes sand over your feet like it's trying to erase you. You stare at the horizon, and something shifts in your head. A thought. What if you didn't have to move anymore? You spot seeds near a riverbed. You pocket a few, not because you know what they are, just because they seem important. You settle near a stream that still has water in the morning. You dig up roots. You notice some patches grow back faster. The idea grows with them.
For the first time, you're staying in one place, not just for days, but longer. Food gets easier to find because you know where to look. When you're not moving all the time, you can carry more. Store things, keep sharp rocks, smooth bones, useful seeds. But it comes at a cost. Your back aches,
Because now instead of walking, you're bending, digging, grinding. You smash seeds between stones until they become bitter mush. You chew and chew because now your diet is starch and more starch. No fire yet to soften it. Your teeth suffer badly. Cavities, abscesses, massive wear from grinding seeds and eating them raw. And because you're not moving, you start living closer to others. That means sharing food, but it also means sharing sickness. Close contact, shared water, rotting scraps, perfect conditions for disease. Your life expectancy doesn't really go up, but your population does. More food means more people. More babies survive. More noise. More competition. You start to see conflicts over space. Not just food or predators, but land. The spot where the river bends. The tree that always has fruit. You've invented farming. You've also invented jealousy and ownership. You don't have a word for mine yet, but you understand the concept perfectly. The first cities. You smell it before you see it. A thick, wet stink that clings to your nostrils. Not death, but something close. Rot, mud, something human. You followed the river downstream for days. Then suddenly, there it is. A cluster of huts. Smoke curling from smoldering pits. Shouts and coughing in the distance. A steady line of figures trudging between piles of debris. It's a settlement. The earliest prototype of what will become a city. And it is disgusting. No plumbing, no sanitation, no personal space. Just people stacked next to people, breathing the same air, drinking the same water, dumping waste everywhere. You step around a puddle that may have once been soup, or worse. You're surrounded by dozens, maybe hundreds of people now. Infants squalling, elders groaning, bodies pressed into tight huts made from clay, straw, and wishful thinking. Everyone is busy. Digging, hauling, chewing, coughing, always coughing. You try not to breathe too deeply. The air tastes like soot and something vaguely fungal. A woman pounds grain with a heavy rock. A child squats nearby, scooping something into their mouth with dirty fingers. Another drags a dead bird across the ground.
You find a shaded corner and crouch. Flies swarm immediately. One lands on your face, another on your food, a third on someone's open wound. No one swats. They're used to it. A man limps past, dragging firewood. His foot is wrapped in dirty cloth, soaked through. You can smell the infection. This isn't a community of joy. It's a community of necessity. No one's here for the company. They're here because food is nearby. Because walls, even mud ones, offer protection. A child offers you something. Bread, maybe. Hard as a rock. Smells of mold. You accept it because rejecting might be rude. You chew slowly. There's sand in it. Of course there is. You glance at the water. A shallow pool clogged with algae and something unidentifiable. People scoop water into jars anyway. A woman dips her cloth in it to wipe her baby's face. You watch in horror. Then you drink too, because thirst doesn't care about bacteria. The medieval nightmare. You wake up soaked in something cold. It takes a moment to register. Not rain. Goat urine. A very confused goat is standing over your sleeping spot. You sigh.
It's barely dawn and already the day is getting personal. You're in the Middle Ages now. Everything hurts, everyone smells, and no one understands how bodies work. You head to the communal fire pit. Breakfast is gray, lumpy broth with the flavor profile of despair. You slurp it down. Someone nearby is coughing. A deep, rattling cough. They press cloth to their face. It comes away red. No one says anything. Illness is everywhere, and nobody knows why. You just know that some people get hot and shaky, start coughing, stop eating, then stop everything. And sometimes they take others with them. You head to the village healer. Not a doctor, just someone who smells strongly of sage, burnt feathers, and overconfidence. First, leeches. A handful of wriggling creatures plopped onto your skin. One on the arm, one behind your ear, one that tries to escape to your armpit. Then a poultice. She slaps a warm blob of herbs and pig fat onto your chest and binds it with cloth. It's squishy. It leaks. Finally, pigeon droppings. She smears a thin paste near your temples, muttering something threatening.
You head back to your hovel. It's made of wattle and daub, basically twigs and mud, with a thatched roof that leaks. The door creaks, the floor is dirt. Your sleeping spot is lumpy straw that may contain half a frog. Outside, a man yells about demons. Inside, your neighbor prays loudly for her boils to go away. Welcome to the age of spiritual blame and bodily confusion. Get sick and people assume you sinned, or your neighbor did, or the miller's wife is secretly a witch. You feel the cough building. You swallow it hard. Better to be quietly dying than publicly suspicious. The accusation. You're in trouble. Not the kind with teeth. This trouble is quieter, human, political, religious. You sneezed this morning near the church steps. Now 3 villagers are whispering. One made the sign of the cross after looking at you. Another spat in the dirt, specifically in your direction. Welcome to medieval village justice. If something bad happens, it must be someone's fault. Someone odd, someone with a limp or a scar, or someone who doesn't bathe on saint days. You've already been side-eyed for gathering herbs. You mentioned the moon in a sentence not about the Virgin Mary. And now you've sneezed twice in the same week during what people are calling a cursed season. The town priest has taken an interest. During his sermon, he talks about evil among us and disease as punishment. He doesn't name names. He doesn't have to. People glance at you anyway. You step carefully now. You attend church, you bow your head, you mutter along with prayers you barely understand. Someone drops a chicken egg in the square. It shatters. People stare at the yolk, then at the person who dropped it, then at the sky, then at you. Then it happens. You find a small pouch outside your hut. Inside, a dead mouse, a feather, and human hair. This is an accusation. Someone believes you're the cause of the bad harvest, the illness, the weird dreams people have been having. They've decided you're a witch. You want to scream, to tell them you're just tired, just poor, just unlucky. But once suspicion sticks, it doesn't wash off. So you gather what little you have: dried meat, a stone knife, leather wrap that barely counts as shoes, and slip away at dawn, before the village fully stirs. You walk into the woods, into the mist, back to a life without walls. You don't know where you're going, but at least no one's watching you cough anymore. The voyage. You are surrounded by salt, crusted in your hair, caked on your clothes, burning the cracks in your fingers. You blink against glare bouncing off the ocean. You're officially a sailor now. Or, more accurately, a reluctant passenger with zero nautical experience roped into the crew of a wooden death trap headed somewhere, east, west, maybe just in circles. This is a medieval sea voyage, and it is not romantic. There's no fresh breeze or cheerful singing. There's groaning timber, damp bedding, and rats with far too much personality. You sleep beside barrels of pickled something. Your pillow is coiled, scratchy rope. Your daily routine consists mostly of not falling overboard. Every inch of this ship smells like salt, wood rot, and old fish. You're also starting to notice something troubling. Your gums bleed. When you bite into your stale biscuit, you feel something wriggle. A tooth, or what's left of it. You spit it over the side and try not to panic. Scurvy, caused by lack of vitamin C. Bleeding gums, tooth loss, muscle pain, eventually death. You don't know what vitamin means, but your body is begging for something green. You haven't seen a vegetable in weeks. At night, you lie awake, swaying with the ship. The stars are bright and cold. The sea breathes beneath you, slow and massive. You get stuck in the doldrums, days of stillness, heat, no shade, no progress. You drink warm water from slimy barrels. Someone dies, fever, vomiting, then silence. The captain says a prayer. The crew wraps him in tarp, ties a stone to his feet, and slides him off the side. The splash is small. The silence afterward is enormous. A storm hits. You're below deck, then suddenly not. Waves lift the ship like a toy. Rain lashes your face. You grip the mast and pray. Lightning flashes. Someone screams. The sails snap. The boat spins.
You think this is it. This is the end. It's not. You wake the next morning in a puddle. Half the crew is gone. You help patch the sail with trembling fingers. The wind changes. You sail on. Eventually, you spot land. At first, it looks like a cloud, then trees, then people. You want to cry. Instead, you throw up seawater and try to remember how legs work. You're thinner now. You stink of brine. You've lost 3 teeth. Your hair is matted. You no longer flinch when rats walk over you. But you've survived. No one claps when you step ashore. You just walk forward, bones groaning, skin raw from sun and salt. Land is under your feet, and for now, that's enough. The industrial hell. You wake to the sound of hammers, not gentle ones. These are the hammers of industry, loud, hot, relentless. They echo in your ribs and fill your ears with constant clang, 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 until you forget what silence sounds like. The air smells like smoke and soot and metal. You open your eyes to fog and ash and the faint taste of coal on your tongue. You're in the Industrial Revolution now, and it sucks. Your job? Factory worker. The pay? Miserable. The hours?
all of them. Your shift starts before sunrise and ends after sunset. The factory bell is your god now. When it rings, you move. When it stops, you collapse. The floor is slick with oil and sweat. The walls are damp. The windows are black with soot. The machines never stop. You already lost a thumbnail. The man next to you is missing half a hand. Nobody talks about it. Your job is feeding a loom or a press or something that chews cotton and spits out thread. You just know to keep your hands away from the fast-moving parts. You don't always succeed.
Blisters swell on your palms. Your back throbs from hunching. You've forgotten what it's like to walk without limping. The overseer shouts, "Faster!" You nod and move faster. There's no food at the factory, just a bucket of water and a bench for 5 minutes of sitting if you're lucky. Your lunch is a dry heel of bread. You eat half and save the other half for hope. You spend your breaks coughing. Everyone does. The air is thick with coal dust. Your snot is black. Your throat always burns. The doctor said it's black lung, then laughed like it was a joke. It wasn't. The noise is constant. Your ears ring even when the machines stop. You go to sleep hearing them. You dream of gears grinding. You rent a cot in a room with 5 other workers. The walls are damp. The window is broken. There's one bucket for all of you. It isn't for drinking. The man who sleeps beside you grinds his teeth so loudly it sounds like a bone saw. Someone else cries in their sleep. No one says anything. There's nothing to say. You want to leave. You dream of fields, of silence, of breathing air that doesn't crunch in your lungs. But you can't. You need the money. You rent the cot. You owe for bread. Your boots have holes. Your sister works in the matchstick factory, and her cough has gotten worse. You're not building a better future. You're barely building Tuesday. The machine roars to life. You feed it. You move your hands carefully, and you hope it doesn't notice you're tired. Because machines don't care if you're human. They only care if you're useful. The trench. You're knee-deep in mud. Thick, cold, ankle-grabbing sludge that sucks at your boots. It's not just wet, it's malicious. You're in a trench somewhere in France or Belgium, or maybe just in a nameless scar dug into the earth during a time no one will forget, but everyone wants to. You're in the First World War, and it is misery perfected.
Around you, rats the size of house cats. Over you, a gray sky that never lightens. Beneath you, layers of wet clothes, decomposing rations, and yes, the occasional human bone. The smell is indescribable, a mix of mold, sweat, gunpowder, urine, and fear. You breathe through your mouth. That's worse. You try your nose. That's worse too. There's no winning, just breathing, just enduring. Your uniform is soaked. Your fingers are numb. You haven't changed your socks in a week. Your feet are puffy, pale, tender like bruised fruit. You have trench foot. You try wiggling your toes. They don't respond. You pretend that's fine. Behind you, someone is singing softly, off-key, something about home. You try not to listen,
Home feels impossibly far. The sergeant barks an order. You grab your gear, too heavy, too wet, and haul yourself up to the firing step. Your fingers barely close around the rifle. The ground shakes. Artillery. Distant, then closer. You flinch, but don't duck. No one ducks anymore. You just flinch and hope your name isn't written on that particular shell. You sleep in shallow shifts, waking at every cough, rat squeak, or whispered curse. You once saw a man stand up too fast and vanish in a spray of bone and mud. No scream, just gone. Food comes in tins, cold, slimy, sometimes infested. You eat it anyway. There's no flavor, just texture, and not the good kind. Water comes in canteens that smell like rust. You sip slowly, hoping it won't turn your stomach again. The worst part? It's the waiting. Waiting for orders, for dawn, for the shrill whistle that means over the top. You don't want to go. No one does. But when that whistle blows, you move. You've done it before, clambering over the trench lip, knees shaking, heart trying to claw out of your chest, charging into fog and wire and noise. You didn't fire your rifle. You just ran, tripped, crawled, tried not to die. You made it back. Most didn't. A letter from home arrived last week, smudged with dirt. You reread it every night, even though the words are starting to fade.
Someone misses you. You're not sure if you miss them back. It's hard to feel anything through this fog. You've learned to stop hoping. Hope is dangerous. Hope gets you thinking about the future. And in this place, that's a luxury. You think only in hours, in meals, in inches of dry ground, and in socks. Always socks. The man beside you is snoring. He has a photograph pinned inside his coat. You peeked once. Blurry, smiling people. Probably family. Probably gone. Later, a shell hits closer. The ground shakes. Your helmet rattles. Someone yells. Another yells back. Then silence again. You crouch deeper into the trench. It feels like the world is shivering. You close your eyes just for a moment. You dream of grass, of stillness, of air that doesn't smell like blood. Then you wake to mud in your mouth and something buzzing near your ear. You wipe it away and whisper, "I'm still here." And that, somehow, is a victory. The return. You're standing in a supermarket. Fluorescent lights hum above you. The floor is polished. The air smells like refrigeration and artificially ripened fruit. A child is crying faintly in aisle 7. Someone nearby is whispering angrily into a Bluetooth earpiece. Overhead, soft, forgettable pop music plays. You look down at your hands. They're clean. Soft, even. Your nails are short. Your fingertips aren't stained with blood, dirt, or ash. You pick up a plastic-wrapped box of strawberries. In winter, in a country that doesn't even grow them. You stare at it for a long time. Then you laugh, because this is the future. But somehow, you're still the same ancient creature underneath. You wander the aisles in a daze. You're surrounded by food, endless food, shelves stacked with things you can't even name, labels covered in smiling cows, cartoon bees, and promises like low carb or gut friendly. There are no predators here. No rain, no hyenas, no saber-toothed cats hiding behind the bananas. And yet you feel uneasy. Your body is different now. Your brain has grown. You've mapped the stars, split the atom, walked on the moon. But the ancient wiring is still there, the old code. The fight or flight reflex that doesn't know what to do when the threat isn't a lion, but a slow, draining inbox or a 2 a.m. notification buzz. Your heart doesn't know the difference. It beats the same, fast, heavy, like it's 2 million years ago, and something is about to pounce. You move through the aisles like you used to move through forests, cautiously, scanning, evaluating. That instinct to gather hasn't left you. It's just been redirected. You collect things now: bottles, chargers, loyalty points. Your stash isn't meat and berries anymore. It's apps, passwords, emergency snacks. You find yourself eyeing other people's carts. You judge, you compare. You wonder if your choices are better or worse or more evolved. A woman ahead of you is piling up bottled water. Her shoes are clean. Her teeth are straight. But the look in her eyes, you recognize it. It's the look of someone who's lived through something uncertain, something shaky, something that made the old fear wake up again. You wonder if she feels it too, that strange ache for something real, for bark between your teeth, for the solid certainty of climbing a tree to escape a predator, for days when bad meant you might die before sunset, not that you missed a deadline. You leave the strawberries. You walk out into the parking lot. The sun is bright but filtered through haze. Cars line the roads like grazing metal beasts. There's no mud, no bones, no vultures circling. But you still squint at the sky like it might suddenly change. You sit on a bench and breathe, and it's here that you realize the strangest thing of all. Despite the comfort, the lights, the options, the fact that you haven't been chased by a predator in years, you still feel tired. Not physically, not exactly, but deep inside, bone deep, ancient deep, like some part of you is still stuck in the trees, or the trench, or the salt spray. You survived all of it, but your body remembers.
That's the cruel trick of evolution. It equips you for one world, then drops you in another. You're wired for starvation, but surrounded by abundance. Trained for danger, but drowning in minor inconveniences. You have fire, you have soap, you have indoor plumbing, and still your brain hoards snacks, flinches at loud noises, and mistrusts the silence. Because you were never meant for this world. Not exactly. You're just borrowing it and doing your best, one ancient heartbeat at a time. So now, as the journey fades behind you and the long road through human history settles into stillness, let's pause. Let's breathe. You've trudged through mud of ancient forests, the grit of Bronze Age streets, the soot of industrial cities, and the static buzz of the modern world. You've felt the fear of predators, the sting of hunger, the ache of cold nights with no fire. You've labored in darkness, endured in silence, watched as the world transformed around you. And through it all, you survived. You, the old creature in a new shell, still scanning, still storing, still shivering under fluorescent lights, not because you're cold, but because something buried deep remembers the wind on bare skin and the crack of branches in the night. But now it's safe to rest. The world outside might still be loud, your thoughts might still be restless, but in this moment, you've earned a little peace. Let the muscles in your face soften. Let your breath slow. Let the images drift away. Stone tools, smoky huts, crowded ships, muddy trenches, all fading gently into mist. You're here now, in warmth, in safety, in quiet. Let that ancient heartbeat calmly in your chest. It has done enough. And you, my friend, you're still human, still trying, still here. Good night.